What I'm going to show you today will completely blow your mind. This place was suggested to me by a subscriber. Thank you very much for the idea and for your support. This is the Aral Sea, situated on the border of Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. Surrounded by the deserts of Central Asia, this lake was once the fourth largest lake in the world. Today, 90% of the lake is gone. Look at this image from 1973. Here's the Aral Sea, covering this huge area between these two countries. Fast forward 10 years and you can already see how it has started shrinking. This area has completely dried up. This is 1992, and even this area has dried up. 1998, 2004, 2011. Wow, this entire area is gone, completely gone. 2015, 2020. And this is the present day. You'll see that this entire area is now just a dried up basin. The lake has split up into two. On the north side, in Kazakhstan, you have this small portion left. Across the border, towards the south, all that is left is this small sliver of water. To truly understand how much the water has receded, look at this town of Moynak in Uzbekistan. In 1973, this was a coastal town right on the border of the sea. Fast forward to today, and the town is in the middle of the desert, nowhere near the lake. That's how much the water has receded. Why did this happen? This is a story of human greed and unchecked exploitation of nature at its peak. To understand what happened here, we have to go back to the 1950s, when Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan were both part of the Soviet Union. During that time, the Aral Sea was the fourth largest lake in the world, after the Caspian Sea, Lake Superior, and Lake Victoria. It was a massive freshwater lake spanning 68,000 square kilometers, or about 26,300 square miles, almost the size of Ireland. The Aral Sea was fed by two major rivers, the Amu Darya and the Sir Darya. Darya is a Persian Urdu word meaning sea or river. The Amu Darya begins here, in the Pamir Mountains, right on the border of Tajikistan and Afghanistan. The Vaksh and Panj rivers coming from the Hindu Kush mountain ranges merge to form the Amu Darya. The river flows through the arid desert, all the way to the Aral Sea. As it meanders through the dusty mountains, it forms a beautiful valley. You can see that the region away from the river basin is the arid desert, but the narrow valley along the path of the river is lush green. And there is plenty of agriculture along the river banks. After starting in the mountains, the river straddles the border of Tajikistan and Afghanistan before entering Turkmenistan. Here, it flows for quite some distance through the harsh desert before marking the border between Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan. Finally, it enters Uzbekistan and reaches the Aral Sea. Let's look at the Sir Darya now. The river starts here, in a relatively green part of Uzbekistan, near the border with Kyrgyzstan. Look at the massive agricultural fields here. The river flows through the Namangan region of Uzbekistan, providing water and livelihood for millions of people in the region. The river flows briefly through Tajikistan before making a sharp turn up to enter back into Uzbekistan. The river flows northwest, enters Kazakhstan, and flows all the way through the dry desert before reaching the Aral Sea. Once again, you can notice that the areas away from the river basin are dry and arid. while there is a lot of agriculture and human settlements along the river banks. The landscapes here are indeed amazing. Under Joseph Stalin and later Nikita Khrushchev, the Soviet Union planned to turn Central Asia into a cotton superpower. During that time, cotton was called white gold, and the USSR wanted to massively increase cotton production to boost exports in the economy. But there was a problem. Central Asia isn't the best area for any kind of farming. It's mostly desert. It doesn't naturally support large-scale farming. To solve this problem, the Soviets decided to build artificial irrigation canals by diverting water from the Amu Darya and Sir Darya rivers. Over the next few years, they rapidly built thousands of miles of these canals, and millions of gallons of water that would have flowed into the Aral Sea was now used for cotton farms in Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, and Kazakhstan. Of these, the two largest irrigation projects were the Karakum Canal and the Golodnaya Steppe project. The Karakum Canal, built on the Amu Darya, started here, near the border of Turkmenistan and Afghanistan. It carried water from the river right into the heart of the desert, all the way to the capital of Turkmenistan, Ashgabat. Look at how there are so many smaller canals to divert water from the river into the main reservoir. There are many reservoirs along the way. This is the first. Here's another small one. And here is another. The Karakum Canal did bring a lot of prosperity to these areas and turned this barren desert into massive farming lands. Also, it was instrumental in ensuring a constant supply of water for the capital of Turkmenistan, Ashgabat. Several small canals cut off from the main canal and provided water for crops all across this area. The Karakum Canal was wide enough to carry small ships as well. Let's look at the Sir Darya now. Just at the starting of the river, hundreds of miles of canals were dug to irrigate the entire Fergana Valley. Further down the river, the Golodnaya Steppe canals were built to enable steppe farming across this huge area. In the middle of the desert, as far as your eyes can see, green fields and farming at its peak. However, most of these irrigation canals were leaky and inefficient, with no proper lining. More than 75% of the diverted water was lost due to evaporation and seepage into the desert sands. Instead of fixing the leaks, the Soviets built even more canals, taking even more water. All this led to the Aral Sea going from this in 1973 to this in 2024. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button and please consider subscribing to the channel for our support. Let me know which place you would like to tour next in the comments below. Until then, happy exploring.